A deal between Canada and Mexico with lives on the line. Mexico will restart sending temporary foreign workers to Canada with a new agreement reached on safety protocols for migrant workers. Remember, Mexico hit the pause button on sending laborers northward after the deaths of now 3 farm workers in Ontario due to COVID-19. But what is being done to ensure the safety of temporary foreign workers who are critical to Canada's food supply chain? And could Mexico halt things if more deaths come? To get a sense of the situation, the Mexican ambassador to Canada, Juan Jose Gomez-Camacho, joins us. Ambassador, good to have you on the program. Hope you and your family are well. Do you believe Canada's laws are keeping the temporary foreign workers from Mexico safe on Canadian farms?
We have been in intense, constructive, positive dialogue with the Canadian authorities, led by Minister Bibeau and Minister Contreau. And we are very confident that the measures that we have agreed upon and the measures we have put in place, like a sort of bilateral task force to quickly react to any case, will allow us to go through safety and above all, will ensure the safety of any Mexican worker that is here in Canada working in the farm.
Ambassador, I know you're confident, but let me get your reaction to something that the Ontario Premier Doug Ford today on the matter of COVID-19 and the farmers. I'm going to play the clip for you. Listen to what he said.
Yeah.
I'm going to just tell it the way it is. Farmers just aren't cooperating. They aren't sending out the people to get tested. We got to bang our heads off the wall and figure out why. It's good for the farmers, good for your workers, good for the food supply chain on safety. They're phenomenal people down there, great farmers. I've met a tremendous amount of them. And guys, until you cooperate, and we can't force anyone to get testing.
So the Premier of Ontario is saying the farmers aren't allowing your temporary foreign workers, many of them from your country, to actually get tested. They're getting sick and dying. He's not confident they're being kept safe. Are you?
Yeah, no. Let me clarify my points, because I entirely agree, of course, with Premier Ford, and that has been a problem. What I'm confident about first is the commitment from the federal government, the norms put in place, their commitment to strengthen supervision, monitoring, and enforcement of the rules, and then the mechanism that we have. Now, that said, the challenge we have, the reason why there have been infections, and sadly 3 deaths now, is because in some farms these rules are not being followed. And this is what Premier Ford is referring to. So what we have been saying and explaining, and together with the Canadian government, is precisely that, and this is why we hit the pause. It was also to understand where were the problems. And we now know that the main problem is happening out there in some farms is that the housing conditions are improper, for example. They are overcrowded, and that's a recipe for infection. And the outbreaks have happened because of that. So the commitment that we have from the federal government to step up supervision efforts is not only very welcome by us, but is precisely the right measure to do, or the right thing to do, right, including enforcing. And let me say something. Any farm that does not follow the rules will certainly not receive any Mexican worker.
Any farm that does not do that. Okay, that's interesting, because 2 things. A 3rd temporary worker from Mexico died after the agreement was reached between Canada and Mexico. These are workers, I should remind people, that they are in quarantine for 14 days when
Yes.
they come here before they can go to work. So they must be getting it at work somewhere. Was
Yes.
the deal made too quickly? In retrospect, did that deal was it too quick?
No, we spent 10 days in intense conversations with the Canadian government. It was not done too quick, but at the same time, it had to be efficient, the process, because the time frame for the farms to operate, to save the crops, et cetera, is very limited. So while we hit the pause, and hadn't we had the assurances we need, the pause would remain. At the same time, we wanted to do it as fast as possible, which is the logic of the government too, so we wouldn't disrupt the operation of those farms that are behaving and operating properly and guaranteeing the right conditions for workers.
Ambassador, that's fascinating, though. Any farm that does not protect the workers, whose workers get sick or obviously in some horrible cases die, will not be eligible for any Mexican temporary foreign workers. Ambassador, your perspective really important on this and a critical part of our two countries' relationship. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
Pleasure being with you, Evan, as always.